Fisherman's Warehouse Marine, Sweet Street at Warners Bay, your Newcastle Honda marine dealer. Pretty hot Thursday, guys. Westerly, norwest in fact, at the moment. Coastally, it's sort of switching around. I know Nora Head's got a little bit more of a nor'east on it, but it is quite warm. They reckon possibly 35 by the Savo. Maybe you'd like to think we get a thunderstorm, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, a bit of a wrap-up of the big fish out of Lake Macquarie last weekend. Tough conditions weather-wise, let me assure you, on Saturday, 25 knot nor'easters, probably in the afternoon, might have been gusting a bit better, and you got wet from 7 a.m. and you didn't dry down till about 8 a.m. when you got 8 p.m. when you got home. It was pretty tough. Some nice fish. We got a couple of marlin, a nice little blue stripe, a couple of yellowfin, big dolly. It's never good when you're throwing 10 kilo dolphin fish back or 15 kilo yellowfin. That's a bit hard, but that's tag and release. And then the interesting thing about the big fish, the lack of sharks offshore. I know everyone's been talking about all the whalers that have been a menace in along the coast, but when you get out wider, normally this time of year, there's a lot more tiger sharks and obviously makos and bigger whalers out there, but very small fish. In fact, I think the heaviest whaler was caught on 10 and it was about 152 kilos, so not a lot there. Shark-wise, heaviest marlin, 143 kilo blue marlin, and I congratulate the Norris boys very, very well. Steve, good mate of ours, that's a great fish on 37 kilos. So Lucky Strike won the dollars, which is fantastic to see. The marlin bite was Saturday. Sunday was really tough, but a few of the guys that persisted got a few later, and it was really unusual where Saturday the bite was like before lunch, and on Sunday it was after lunch. Those guys that fished the inshore, and there was quite a few guys that did that, that was where the results were, but only on the Saturday, so there are still a few blacks in close. No doubt, we had a look at sea surface charts, that water's now gouging in to Seals Rock, so I'll be interested to see how the boys go up around Seals or down to the Gibber. Not a lot of inshore marlin, particularly off Swansea. Out on the Fad farm area, still some stripes, little dolphin fish, but those bigger dolphin fish are over the edge, and in fact out and around about 500 fathoms. I know Steve and James had a couple of good photos there last night at the Prezzo, throwing back 20 kilo dolphin fish in the event. Massive dolphin fish out wider, and of course that mixture of yellowfin. So good to see. Shootout this time next week will be basically begin there because it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, so a lot of guys will be heading north, but we're just going to have to see what actually goes on because it's a bit indifferent with the results, I must say. It's a little bit up and down. South Coast, they're killing them. Up here, it's a little bit slim picking, so let's watch it unfold. Plenty of bonito in close, that is for sure. And we spoke about it late last week. Lots of those little guys, 25s, 35s at best, but plenty of them. And even on the high tide, some of them are actually coming into one, Newcastle Harbour, and secondly, actually getting right on the edge of the bar and coming into almost Lucy's Walsalts Bay on that high tide. And speaking of tides, this Saturday, 10 to 7 low tide and a 10 to 1 high, but they're not real big tides. This high tide's 159, the low tide's in and around about 0.5, so not a lot of tide exchange, as now we're starting to get back in to the last half, 3/4 of the moon. So we're going to move back this time next week when we talk. We're going to be heading in to that dark period, so a little bit coming on. The offshore fishing through February, guys, is really tough. We've got this sort of changeover. We've got the hot water coming down. We're still waiting for a lot of fish, and water temperature tends to be a little bit high, so we don't see a lot of really good snapper. But trag, yes, there's still a lot of flathead out there and a few mulloway. Look, you are getting reds, but they're 32s to 40s. There's not a lot of size to them. Normally, the end of February into March is when we'll see that switch back around, and we may even start to see some tailor. It's going to be more pelagic, and I do expect once this warmer water comes down, we may even start to see a few cobia along the coastline. I think we're going to have to wait a few weeks. So if you're going offshore, look, you're going to have to sort of like work to get the catch. It's not jumping out of a skin, as is the beach. The beach is a little bit lackluster too. Yes, there's whiting and bream, flathead. We've spoken about it for the last month, but no consistency, which I'm quite surprised. I thought by now we'd see a bigger increase in whiting. but there's been a few nice school mulloway there for those guys that are fishing with worms or in fact casting a few lures. And of course, Newcastle Harbour has probably been the real diamond in the box. A lot of mulloway in there at the present, so it's really good to see such the harbour itself fishing as well as it is. The lake, a lot of small flathead, which is associated with those males now breeding in with the females, so a lot of small flatties. Still some good whiting and brim on the flats. Last of the tides, the last 2 hours in there, and obviously a few trevally still up in Salts Bay. The bridge has subsided a bit. There's still worth going down there to get a few kings, and there's less traffic, that is for sure. I know the nights are fluctuating. Some nights there's up to 30 people still fishing on the bridge. Other nights there's a couple, so I know Belmont Police are sort of looking at that, I hear. Obviously in the lake, squid. I reckon as we get into next week, you'll start to see that squid increase. It dropped off over the last, say, 5 or 6 days, and I reckon this is a result of that full moon coming through on Monday night. So as we start to get back into next week, we start to lose the moon, you're gonna see those squid increase, and February, by my mind, is one of the best months for them. So guys, get out there, school's back, no one on the water. As you see, great weekend coming, light northeast winds, east northeast, up to maybe potentially 15 knots. But that is nothing, but the mornings look very, very good if you want to get out to the briny or just get out there in general. I'll see you next week.